Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Welcome to Spirit Speaks with James Van Praagh, a pioneer of his time and one of the world's most celebrated and respected mediums of our time. Please welcome spiritual teacher James Van Praagh on Universal Broadcasting Network.
Hi everyone, this is James. How are you? I'm so happy that you're tuned in, and I am in the middle of going on to Dallas. I'm actually going to be on the stage in Dallas in 1 hour. I'm doing an evening of spirit in person in Dallas, so I won't be able to be with you tonight, unfortunately. But my good friend, who I handpicked to be on the show tonight, Sonja Fitzpatrick, is an animal communicator, probably one of the best in the world. Been doing it for over 30-something years. She's from England, good friend of mine. Been on my other radio show many times. Been on her radio show. We've known each other for many, many years. I leave you in great hands with Sonja Fitzpatrick. Thank you, Sonja. Thank you, John. See you next week, everyone. Hi, everyone.
I'm Sonja Fitzpatrick, and I talk to the animals, and they talk back to me. Some people call me the celebrity pet psychic. I've done readings for Bradley Cooper, Kelly and Michael, Sharon Osbourne, Deborah Messing, Steve Harvey, Tori Spelling, Wanda Sykes, Ellen DeGeneres, Paula Abdul. And this one wants to know that it's in charge of everyone.
That's you, Big Eyes.
When you're sitting there with her, you don't feel it secondhand. You actually feel like they're talking to you.
I'm getting a picture of
Are you ready to
countryside.
tell her?
Animals gossip sometimes.
Really?
They do understand our language.
That's something Bessime would say.
You literally just took my breath away.
I even talk to animals that have crossed over. And he wants you to know I'm with you and I'm around you.
What just happened in there for me is a miracle.
I'm able to help people understand their animals in a completely different way than they've understood them before.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sonja Fitzpatrick to the show. Hi, Sonja.
Hi, John. How
Great.
nice to be on your show, on James's show tonight.
It is. We are so blessed to have you tonight, and we have so many people that are calling in and writing in and sending us chat messages, and we are so excited. And I want to give a little background for those who didn't get to see the trailer that we just ran. I'm going to read a little bit about your background here. You are widely regarded as the most experienced and trusted animal communicator in the world. Your extensive knowledge working and helping animals handle adversity has distinguished you as an expert in your field of animal communication. And your passion for animals and your understanding of the critical role they play in our lives provides a unique perspective on the way that we need to interact with all of the animals in our world. And very interesting, I heard that you took in some orphan frogs, and are they still living with you in your kitchen?
Yeah. You know, I happened to go into Walmart's one day, and I felt so sorry for these frogs.
Yeah.
Because and one was nearly dying, and I just gathered them up, got a tank, did take them out, and then I brought them home with me, and they lived to be quite. I had them for about 9 years. The frogs,
wow.
Unbelievable. And they communicate too. Every animal, every species communicates to you. They all communicate. They all speak the same way. The animal's language works the same way. And everyone's doing it too, John, without realizing that they're doing it. Because we're transmitting out like radios, because we have magnetic fields that run through the body, and they do too. Mm-hmm. So, and the magnetic fields that run through the universe, where the language travels through to no matter where they are. And that's why I'm able to do it on the radio, because you pick people up, you get their energy, you get magnetic field link, you get a link with their animal, and suddenly they're talking. Okay. But we're all doing it, but not realizing it, as I said earlier. So they speak in images. Uh-huh. If I was to say to you, could you tell me where the Statue of Liberty is? You get an image, don't you?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Which is like a picture. So we're transmitting out like that. we're transmitting those pictures out. Every time we think of something or we're going somewhere, we're transmitting pictures out. At the same time, our feelings and emotions are transmitting out, and they feel everything that we are feeling.
Wow.
They know when we're sad, they know when we're happy. And even when we're miles away from them, we're still talking to them because they can pick us up. They pick up our feelings, our emotions, our images. So animals are really, very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
The only thing is it's a silent language, and people are doing it without realizing. It's so simple, but as human beings, we have to complicate it. And there's a few exercises that everyone can practice when they're at work. If they sort of just thinking about them, the animal will feel it. They can think about them, and they can say something because they eventually learn our language too, if they live with us. And you can, if you're going on vacation, I always tell them there's no separation to the animals, because although our physical body isn't there, mentally we are with them and we're talking to them. So be very aware when you go away, or even if you're at work, you're all capable of doing what I am. So talk to them. And people carry the picture on their telephone. There are all animal lovers, they get pictures on their phone. When my children were small, they used to say to me, why do you have pictures and photographs in those days to give to people, and you haven't got any pictures of us, they used to say, because people will always have their animals with them, pictures of them. So when they look at the picture, or they look on their phone at the picture, because they have these wonderful phones now, they immediately got a direct contact, and the animal knows at home that you're thinking of it and you're looking at it. And they'll often say to me, oh, my mum shows me to everyone. And they know, and they're right on the end of that magnetic field line. So you have your own private telephone line with all your animals.
Wow.
So people don't realize that.
I think that's really helpful for folks that, have written in about experiencing pet separation anxiety for both the human and also for the pet, because it seems that seems to be a common theme that we're seeing here in the questions that we received earlier.
Yes, anxiety with a pet, and often the owner's feeling anxiety, and often the owner, I think of it as being, our pet parent. I don't believe we own them. I think it's the other way around. They own us. And every time, there's this anxiety, people get more anxious. So therefore, that makes the pet even more anxious. So there's certain things you can do when you do have a pet that's very anxious and you have to go to work. Don't make a big fuss when you go out. Don't make a big thing of goodbye, just go. And then feel very calm, because that will help them to feel calm. And then just go to work and just think about them, and they'll pick you up at work. But it is hard, because I have a dog at the moment that I rescued that I was talking to you about earlier, and he's extremely anxious. And I find if I leave him at home with the other dogs, he's fine. The cats, no, they're not enough for him, because I have quite a lot of cats too. But if I leave him with another dog and he's got company, he's fine. But if I was to leave him on his own, he tears the house up. So I try and take him with me when I can, or I always leave him with other dogs, not leave him on his own in the house, because that's when they tear up everything. So anxiety is, it can be a big problem for the human companion as well as their animal. And I always say with a cat, sometimes, some cats like to live on their own. They don't want another cat with them. Right. And then there's other cats, particularly when they're young and you get kittens. I always say, don't get one, get two. It's much more fun. And then when you go out, you've always got another cat. It's got another cat and company.
Well, earlier we were talking about, the fact that I have a cat, and you had mentioned that maybe she would want to introduce another cat to the household. And
she asked me about another cat,
Wow,
she asked
that's really surprising.
But, I usually find I have a lot of cats, and I rescue cats, and I don't get into a state about it. I bring the cat into the house. I put it in a crate for a little while so they can get used to the scent of it, because animals recognize through scents. We recognize visually, but they
Yes.
have got tremendous strong sense of smell, as you all know. It's much stronger than ours. They smell things we don't even smell. So the first thing they smell, and they have to get used to that scent, because another animal coming into the house, it changes the scent. So they have to get used to that. And they
Okay.
have to get used to seeing each other. And, some cats, I just bring them in and let them, put them in the crate so they can all go and say hello. And the dogs can go and say hello to them. And then I let them out. And usually it always works out anyway. But when people get too anxious and worry, that's when the animal picks it up. And often the people are thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And they visualize without realizing they're visualizing seeing two of the cats not getting on, or one of the cats. So that's literally their language. They'll do what you're thinking. So always be very positive and see your animals getting on well together. Don't put those other images, and don't feel the anxiety. Feel calm and put the images of seeing them going nose to nose and accepting each other.
Wow.
Because it is, they pick up everything from us. They're so smart.
So we are just broadcast antennas, and they're picking everything up that we are broadcasting. Thoughts,
Well, they
feelings.
do. Animals know. When I had my TV show, people used to say, isn't it amazing how well the animals behave?
Yeah.
They can be in the studio for 4 hours and they're good. They're silent.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. They know something special. They always know what's going on. And dogs and cats, you still talk the same language to all animals. You're still talking, and they still understand an awful lot of what we're saying. And I think a lot of people always know that anyway.
Yeah.
They know they're smart, but they don't realize that they are talking to them when they are talking. They don't realize that they're speaking the animal's language anyway, with the images and the feelings and emotions that go out. And always see your animals doing what you want them to do rather than what they don't want them to do. And another thing that people will say sometimes, I think my animal is trying to punish me. Animals don't do that. It's people that do that. There's always a reason if an animal starts to, for instance, a cat, if it starts to urinate out of the box, there's always a reason. And I would say to people while I'm talking about this, do be careful of chemicals in your home, because sometimes cats will pee all over the house because you're using chemicals. Always go green with all your own products, because what smells nice to you does not to them. So don't put plug-ins in. Don't put don't spray anything to get rid of smells. Just leave it natural and always clean with natural things, because chemicals, they will start to put their scent down because they can't stand the smell of what you're using in the house sometimes. And again, all cats are different. Some cats might do it, some may not.
Yeah.
But if you're having a problem with this, just look and think, what am I using in my home? It's dangerous too for them, because I had a client about a month ago who had birds, and they were getting very sick, and they actually died. They had birds, and they had this wonderful vaulted ceilings and home, but the birds actually died through constantly inhaling chemicals. They'd had some carpet put down with glue, and the glue smelled horrible to them. So you can imagine, and it's poisonous, these chemicals. It's the same with us and with children. So do be very careful if you have got a cat that is urinating out the box. There's always a reason why they do. Sometimes it's emotional reason, or sometimes it's a physical reason. If they suddenly start to do it. And another thing you can do, if your cat is urinating, take it back to basics, put it in a small space, put the water, don't let them run all over the house. Get a small room for them, put them in there with their water and their litter boxes, and then they'll start to use their litter boxes, and make sure there's no chemical smells in there. And you'll find if you close up the space and don't let them have the whole house, you can go back to basics and start training them again, and you'll find they'll start to use their litter box, and they'll start to stop urinating all around the house because they're in a small space. Then gradually let them out, and you'll find that works too.
Okay. Wow, that's very helpful information, because I know a lot of people You go around spraying their house with room air, room
Yeah,
refresher or
people
whatever
get
it
a bit
is.
fanatical,
Yeah.
John, about being, oh, I've got to get this, and they get the chemicals and they're spraying them, and
Yes.
they're highly dangerous for
Wow.
people, children, and animals.
Uh-huh.
Vinegar and water, and you can get so many wonderful, sort of chemical-free products today.
Uh-huh. And are there particular scents that cats don't like?
Yes, they
Yeah.
don't like citrus scents.
Okay.
They don't like orange or lemon. They
Mm-hmm.
don't like things, or they don't. Lavender's about the only one that you can get away with, as long as it's a not strong
Okay.
lavender. So try and always use things that are chemical free.
Okay.
And don't use citrus.
And are cats as sensitive to smells as dogs are, or dogs more sensitive
Yes, they
than
are.
cats? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And so would the dogs be very sensitive to the scents too in the air as well?
Well, they are, and I
Uh-huh.
don't use chemicals in my house anyway,
Okay.
so my animals are fine.
Yeah.
But cats are more sort of affected by scents.
Okay.
Dogs, usually people should walk their dogs every day. That's if you've got a dog, you should walk it. I don't
Yes.
agree with it staying in the garden. People will say, "Oh, I have a garden." How would you feel if you were in a garden and a house and you never went out of it?
Yeah.
And you don't socialize. They don't socialize with other animals then and other dogs. They need to be walked if you've got a dog.
Right.
They need to get out because it becomes a prison, their home then, and the
Mm.
garden. You imagine if you never went out of your home and garden, even if it was Buckingham Palace, darling, you'd get fed up with it, wouldn't you, if you didn't
Yes.
get out? So
You-
always walk your dogs, because often dogs, you'll get problems with dogs just because they haven't been exercised. They'll chew things, they'll rip things up.
Mhm.
I always amazed how some people will call in on my show
Mhm.
and say, "Oh, my dog's urinating." I say, "How big is it?" Because if it's a small Chihuahua,
Mhm.
they can't hold it because their bladder's so tiny. They can't hold it for long.
Yeah.
But if you've got a bigger dog, they can hold it a lot longer. So you have to take into consideration, if you're out all day, that dog must be let out at like lunchtime, or someone that can come and walk it for a little while, and just let the dog out. Because what would you do if you were stuck in a house and there was no bathroom?
Right.
People
Yeah.
don't always think that way.
No, it's yeah, I guess you have to think like a person and how you would treat a person. They really
That's
are.
right.
Yes.
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 You can't expect a dog to hold it all day while you're at
No,
work.
not-
Some do. Some big dogs are quite good
Wow.
at it. But smaller dogs, they haven't got the capacity to do that.
Yeah. So, you talked about pets being very empathetic, right? So they're empathic, or they're natural empaths, right? So what about when they see spirit activity in the house, or
Yes, they do
Okay,
sometimes, but
okay.
a lot of them are used to that. For in
Okay.
fact, if animals pass over,
Mhm.
they still communicate telepathically with each other, even though they're in the spiritual realm.
Wow. Okay.
Because what they do is, when the dog's physical body dies, just like our physical body, we get out of it and we're in our energy body. So they still vibrate, just on a higher level of consciousness. So all the animals that we have, that we've loved so much, that have passed over,
Mhm.
will still communicate with the animals that we have here. But the animals that we have here often can't understand. They can hear them talking to them. They can feel and sense them because their senses are so heightened around them, but they don't understand where the physical body is.
Oh, wow.
So you just have to tell them.
Yeah.
And everyone can do this when an animal dies. And animals are very close to each other. You get some animals that are extremely close and love each other, and they grieve just like we do when they pass over.
Yeah.
And if you can tell them that, because the other animal that's passed over will still be communicating and talking to each other. So just tell them that. They'll understand, because people can do it too without realizing it, because those pictures are going out, their feelings and emotions are going out. And you just say to them, when we die and you visualize the death and see your animal on the floor, and you see how it looks when it's passed over, that he's around us and with us in a different way, but the physical body is no more. That dies, and they understand that.
Wow. Okay.
So there's so much people can talk and are talking to their animals the same way as I am, but they're not realizing it.
Okay.
They're not realizing that that we're transmitting out like radios. The animals understand a lot of what we're saying. They don't understand everything, but they understand a lot.
Okay. You had mentioned before, I think on another show that I was watching, that the animals reincarnate as well.
They do, just like we do.
Okay.
You know, and another thing that people are always quite shocked about when I tell them is that animal lovers have usually been in many animal forms in past lives anyway. So they understand animals. And the people that don't have particularly, you know, a lot of affection for animals, or they don't, you know, sort of want an animal, they usually haven't experienced being in animal form as many times as the ones that have been in animal forms. And we've all, animal lovers have been in animal forms. And when I say this to people, sometimes, you know, you've been a cat in past life. The lady the other week had said to me, I know that, Sonja. I feel that. I know it. You know, and you just have to trust your intuition. And, you know, the imagination, as children we're told, isn't real. But when I talk to animals, it's with the imagination. Imagination is the greatest gift we have, because that's how I talk to animals. And the animal language is so subtle. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't knock you over. It's very subtle. So you have to trust your imagination when you feel something from your animal.
Trust your imagination.
Yes, always, because imagination is vision.
I love that. I really do. I have a caller here for you. Want to start taking callers?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, I'd be delighted to.
Yes,
John.
and it looks like this caller is calling, Bernadette is her name, and I'm going to put her on the line now. She's calling from area code 623. Bernadette, you're on the air with Sonja.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, darling. Thank
Hello?
you. What's your question?
So it's kind of a little bit what you were talking about just briefly, about if animals were able to make themselves known or present once they've passed.
Yes.
Because sometimes that's where
you feel and sense them around you. After you're grieving, when you're grieving, and people grieve more over their animals than when people die, they get more upset about it, and more, it affects us so deeply, each and every animal lover. But you know, there's when time helps, we get past it, but we don't get over it. Does that make sense to you? But we can still, you know, they're still around us and with us, and they still, just in a different way, that's all. But they haven't gone anywhere. They're still around us and with us.
Yeah.
And the spirit just vibrates on a higher level of consciousness. So they haven't gone to somewhere, you know, they've gone to the spiritual realm, which is on a higher level of consciousness, and they're around and with us, and they know everything that's going on. But there's just their physical body isn't there. Just like when you're visited from spirit, people visit us all the time. People don't understand how many wonderful spirits are around us and with us in our home.
Yeah, thank you. Because, yeah, I know sometimes I swear, even my whole family says sometimes they'll look at the corner of their eye and they'll think that they'll see her on the sitting down where she usually
what did you have? What do you have, darling? What did you have? The animal that's passed over?
It was a dog.
Okay.
She was about, yeah.
And what was her name? Because that gives me a contact straight to her.
Her name was Negra.
Negra.
Yeah. Negra, and then there's another.
Yes, go on. There's a smaller one and one a little larger.
There was another one. Her name was Mimi.
Mimi. Okay. Negra and Mimi.
Yeah.
And which was the one that had trouble with its back legs before it passed? Or a back leg?
It was, I would say, more so Negra.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Negra, and also which one had trouble at times with its abdomen area?
It was
digestive
Mimi.
system. Mimi. Okay, because she's coming through and she wants you to know she's around you and with you all the time. And she said, and who changed their hair? How long ago did Mimi pass?
About 2 years ago, for her.
2 years ago. Okay, because she wants you to know she's round and with you. And which was the one that used to lick you on the face?
Negra.
Megra, because she said she was a great licker. And she said, and everybody loved her. And she's telling me that she got on with everyone. But which was the one that was a bit more fussy about other dogs?
It was Negra.
She didn't always like them, she's telling me. And she said she had to be in charge, she's telling me. I'm the boss and I was always in charge, she said. And I was very particular. And I didn't like dogs coming round here, she said. And she said, and they all knew that too. And when did you give her chicken?
I'm sorry?
When did you give her chicken?
Whenever we had it.
Yeah, she loved it. She said, I wanted chicken every day, she said. And they'd give it to me and they'd cut it up for me, she said. And it was my most favorite thing to eat, she's telling me. And she said she was better eating people food than dog food.
Yes, definitely true.
And she loved that. She said, I love that. I love people food. But she's round you and she's with you, darling, all the time. And who's the black dog that was darker in colour?
It was Negra.
Negra. Oh, because she's very bossy. She's coming through. She's not giving the other one a chance to speak. And she's just told me, if you want to know anything about the other one, I can tell you. You don't need to speak to it. So let me tell her that's very kind of her. And she said you've kept all her things that she had.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, she said, and I'm glad because one day she'll reincarnate and come back to you again. And she's always round you and with you. And which of you just changed your hair recently? Did something different with your hair?
My sister did.
Yeah, she said, tell her that I like it. And it looks very good, she said. Because she wasn't quite sure. So she's around you, darling. She's around you. So talk to her and know that she hasn't gone anywhere. And she said that she was very much loved. You all loved her. And she said she got lots of cuddles and you kiss her on the head all the time. She didn't like being groomed. Yeah. She didn't like being groomed.
No.
I hated it. And I tell you something else I hated. I didn't like having my nails cut. She's going. I was very annoying.
No, she didn't.
So, darlings, know that she's with you.
Sounds like the family agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. They sort of all the family. She was very loved. Very loved.
Oh. We hope that helped you.
Yeah.
And you.
Thank you so much.
And you have constant contact with her, with both of them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Great. All right. So we're going to move on to Sandy from Richmond. Sandy. Hi, you're on the air with. Oh, I'm hearing myself.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, darling. Thank you. How can I help you?
I have a dog named Furby that I've seen a couple of times on this side and that side after she passed. And then I rescued her.
Yes.
And then I had a dog. I have a dog now that I rescued, and her name is Sadie Mae. And when I got Sadie and was given basically Sadie, her birthday was the day that Furby started getting sick and crossing over. So I thought that was ironic. Is that a connection between them two?
I think that happens sometimes, darling, yes. And it can be a connection. And, you know, the fact that you've got Sadie Mae, well, she wants you to know that she's really happy and you really love her. And your other dog, the other dog that you had that passed over goes into her sometimes. Do you see any characteristics, odd things that she's a little bit like that remind you of your other dog?
I just told my husband today that when I look at Sadie and her eyes will look at me, it's almost like, don't you recognize me? It's me.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden her eyes will bulge out a little bit and get real big, and then she'll look at me and she's like, it's me. And I've been trying to figure out who is in Sadie because someone's trying to tell me something, and I'm like, just told my husband today.
Yeah,
someone or something is in Sadie and trying to talk to me.
And their energy is able to go into another dog too, darling, when it goes in and out. It doesn't stay in it, but it can go in and out. And when the dog is in spirit, as we are when we get out of our physical bodies, we're very light. You know, the physical body is heavy. So when a dog dies, it takes a little while. They can't stay long into another dog, but they'll go into the other dog and they'll want to feel the physical body again and feeling your touch and everything. And they do go in and out. So because they never leave us, the animals that have passed over, they're always with us and they never leave us. They're around and with us in their energy. So, you know, that's what you're probably seeing. And once she knows you see that, you will see there'll be more odd things that will recognize you of the dog that's passed over.
Yeah, I saw Furby on the other side. I got a blessing from someone. And Furby actually went in front of my mother. And I had to tell James that Furby was jumping, me, first in heaven. I saw her on the other side, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was Furby. She was pushing all the other spirits away. And she jumped in front of everybody. I said, no, it's my turn to talk to my mother. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, because they are there with us and they do communicate with the other animals that are in your home. And, you know, you can talk to them too. You know, I mean, do try because, you know, you don't have to try very hard and you probably find that you will get a connection with them and you'll feel something.
Yeah, I do all kinds of animals since I was a kid. From a dolphin to everything follow me. Horses, I just read for somebody and the horses that were well-known racehorses appeared, but they were loved kind of racehorses, and so they were honored. And so they appeared when I was trying to read for a man. All his horses appeared to me.
Yes, it's fascinating.
It was all new. Yeah, it's something brand new to me. I was like, wow.
Darling.
It was wonderful.
You know, it is wonderful, you know, and it's like the imagination working, and we're taught as children not to trust it, but the imagination is incredible. You know, I always say, you know, they say, oh, that's your imagination and dismiss it. And I used to think as a little girl, yes, it is my imagination. And that's how I talk to animals, but they don't seem to understand that. I used to think that when I was small. So that's good. You keep on, darling. Keep on going.
I will. I read and they've been coming. And you're a wonderful blessing. I've been following you for years since I was a little girl. So when I saw you, I knew I wasn't, you know, a little bit out of there. I knew it was reality that I could talk to the animals.
No. And the thing is, what a lot of children do, but once they go to school, they start learning our minds on many other things, and they lose that gift sometimes. Well, keep going. Keep going, darling. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, thank you. What a blessing. Love you.
Thank you so much, Sandy.
For your work.
Take care.
Bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, sweet. Yes, you know, we were reading earlier about you, Sonia. You discovered your gift at a very young age, and
yes, I did.
And then a traumatic experience happened, and you stopped communicating with the animals after that for a while, and then a spiritual experience.
Many years.
So, can you tell us a little bit about that situation?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
You know, I lived in the country. I was fortunate enough to be brought up in the wonderful English countryside, and I lived in a small village, so animals were all around me. And I didn't speak till I was 5 because I was busy. They taught me their language originally. Wow. It was the animals that taught me their language. And then, you know, I started to speak when I was about 5, and my father gave me these goose eggs. And in those days, you put them in an incubator and you'd watch them hatch out. And I had 3 goose eggs, 3 geese, and I watched them peck their way out of the eggshells, and they were mine, and I just adored them. And they would come with me everywhere. They come to school and wait at the gate, and then they go back into the field. And people used to say, how do they know when she's coming out of school? Because they'd all come, the 3 of them, waiting for me. And and wherever I went, my geese and my dogs were with me in the village. You know, in those days, you could go anywhere. There wasn't any problems. So they would come with me wherever I went. And all my friends, you know, used to love it because I had the 3 geese. And they were wonderful guard dogs, too, because if anybody they didn't like came anywhere near me, they'd go for them. And geese are that way. And then Christmas came and I thought, they're not here. Where are they? I went running around looking for them. And I went into the barn and my father had killed them for Christmas and they were all hanging up and in the barn with blood dripping from their mouths.
Wow.
And it's funny because even after all these years, that still affects me. And I thought, I'm going to stop talking to animals in this special way. And I did. I closed right down for years.
Wow.
I was always very psychic. And, when I was modeling in London, I would say, the girls would say, oh, tell me what's going to happen. But I would never venture with animals again because it was such a painful experience. And that happened.
That happens to so many children who are gifted.
It does.
They shut themselves down at such an early age because they're told, they're hearing things, they're seeing things. It's all imaginary, as you pointed out earlier. But, I love that movie Heart and Souls. I think that movie is an excellent, I don't know if you had a chance to see it with Robert Downey Jr., but it's an excellent movie that, depicts how your spirit guides are with you from birth, and these kids have extrasensory perception. They can see, and it's not until we start telling them no. So we should encourage our kids to have imaginary friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some people are afraid of it for whatever reason.
Yeah. Now, what made you reopen to getting
many years later when I came to America?
Okay.
And I had left my dog in England, and I was with a girlfriend, and I said, and for some reason, my dog went for my cat there. And I was going to bring my dog over later, which she came over later, my cat too. But I was here for a little while without them. And so my girlfriend said to me, Sonja, I know someone who can talk to animals, and she's blind. And she said, why don't you call her up and we'll make an appointment? So I did. And then when I came off the phone and she told me why, and my dog was blaming my cat for me going away. And that's what it was all about. So anyway, I came off the phone and she said to me, Sonja, you can do this, can't you? My girlfriend said she hadn't a clue that I could do it. But she said, I know you can do this. So I said, yes, I used to do it. And I said, and, I told her about the tragic experience I'd had and how after that I closed down. Then she said, oh, please do something for me. My cat's rattling my blind every night and keeping me awake. Will you ask them to stop it? So I did, and they stopped it. And then suddenly somebody else heard, and somebody else and somebody else. And before I knew it, I was talking to animals all the time.
Wow.
And then that was, I went to New York, and there was an art dealer there who said, I've had problems with my dog. I want you to come. And I went over and I went to Fire Island. And on the boat, she'd invited all these people. And there were people bringing snakes to me and dogs to me and cats to me and birds to me.
Wow.
And there was a literary agent. And she said, what the hell are all these animals doing on the boat?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, there's this woman that talks to her. And that's how my first book came about. Because then she said, I want to see her. And then she asked me to write a book about my experiences and talking to animals. And that's how my first book came about.
And I have your books up here on the screen. So you had the first one was What the Animals Tell Me. Is that the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. And Cat Talk I wrote. Then the last one is No Sad Dogs in Heaven, because the most tragic thing for people is when their animals pass over and they have to learn to live without them. And we don't have a choice. And really, they're around us and with us all the time. So No Sad Dogs in Heaven really is a great comfort, because I've written all the stories about a lot of my clients who have had experiences and where they go and how they're with us and how they reincarnate sometimes.
So we keep hearing a little bit about the Rainbow Bridge. Do you resonate with the Rainbow Bridge, or can you tell us anything about that?
I think it is a great comfort for people, and I think it's a lovely. I love the Rainbow Bridge myself, but really, they are with us and they are around us, and they cross, because we do go over when we have, in a way, I love it because it helps people a lot.
Yeah.
And it's right. I suppose you can say, yes, there is a bridge between us in the physical body and the energy body. So that bridge is there because, but they see it as a bridge. And I think that's a wonderful thing, but they're around us and with us all the time.
Yeah.
And they understand our grieving too, because once we get over to the spiritual realm, this is where all the hell is here and things happening here.
Yeah.
And, and then what happens is, we pass over and there's just love, peace and joy. And of course, unless people have done atrocious things, then they have to experience what it's like, what they've done to other people.
Right, from their perspective, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, it's just that it's just so hard when the hardest time when we have to say goodbye to a pet's physical body when we're still in it. But when we go over, all the souls are together anyway, the ones, because we've been in animal form, as I said earlier, as well as human form.
Wow.
So all the souls are together that go to the same place, and where eventually there's no separation anyway. Even when they die, there's no separation, but we feel the separation of the physical body.
Yes, we do. In the tangible feel, right?
Yes, yes,
That's the
so
hardest.
lost
Yeah,
without
that's
them.
the hardest part, I think, because we pet our pets. So when
Yeah,
we
we do, and
lose them, yeah.
animals get closer to us than people because they're with us. They sleep with us. They're
Yes.
always around us. We're always, they know.
Yes.
We have you have such unconditional love from them. They never give us. Well, occasionally they'll give us an aggravation. Cats can be a bit like that sometimes, but dogs aren't.
Yeah.
Dogs are always pleased to see us, no matter what. They love us no matter what. Dogs and cats can let you know if they're a bit annoyed with you. I think everybody that has cats knows that. For instance, if we go away and and then we come back, they can be a bit aloof sometimes with you. So like, oh, what did you do that for? Don't like none of the animals like leaving us, and we don't like leaving them either.
Right.
But
No.
sometimes we have to get away,
Yeah.
either work or vacations.
Yes. We have Patti on the line. She's been holding for a little while, and I want to get to
Yes.
her. So let me get Patti on the line from 315. Hi, Patti.
Hi, how are you? Sonja,
Good.
I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you. Well, how can I help you, darling?
Well, actually a couple of different things. When my husband and I got married a couple of decades ago now, he had this amazing dog named Bo, and she died very shortly after I met Ken.
Yes.
And I said, I swear she waited around until she knew you were okay.
And you mean that he'd found you and that you were together?
Yes.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, darling. They do. They'll hang. Animals are amazing because they will hang on as long as they can for us. It doesn't matter what they're suffering. They suffer discomfort a lot better than humans do, but they'll hang on. And then she was happy that he was with you, and so that you were together. Was she a medium-sized dog? Not too small and
yes,
not too big.
actually.
Yeah, because I've got
No, she was
I can
perfect.
see. Yeah, I can see a dog round you. She was a happy dog. She had trouble with, what was it with her breathing and panting before she passed at
She
the
had
end?
cancer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she
she
said
had
also,
cancer.
and she said it was. She said she hung on as long as she could. She's telling me she liked you too.
I loved her.
Yes, she knew that, and she's always round you and with you, and she's a great dog. And he loved her a lot as well. He said she used to love going in the vehicle with him. She was good. She said
Oh my
he
God.
used to take her whenever he could. She's telling me he wouldn't leave her behind.
No, he was a single dad, and Bo and the kids and Ken went everywhere together.
Yeah, they did. And she said that he'd always take me. She said, and she didn't even think she was a dog. She's telling me she thought that she was one of them.
You would think she was. Yep, she was.
Yeah, she thought she was one of the kids as far as he was concerned. And she said sometimes when they weren't there, she'd sit in the front with him.
Mm-hmm.
In the front of the vehicle. She loved that.
Yep,
She liked sitting in the front. She said that was my favorite place. And who had a black vehicle? Do you know who had a black vehicle? You perhaps don't.
I don't, actually.
Ask him, because he'll probably know.
Oh, I do. I do. Why?
Well, she said she liked the person who had the black vehicle.
Okay. She might have seen it as black. It was pretty dark blue.
Yeah, yes.
I had to think
Yeah,
about
she
it for a
would.
minute.
Yeah, she liked the person that was in that, and it made her happy when that particular vehicle arrived. It made her happy.
Oh.
Great dog, darling. Great dog. What do you have
She
now?
was. I have two actually. I have a Wheaten Terrier.
Yep.
And I have. Go ahead.
What's his name?
Thunder.
Thunder. And what's the other one's name?
Frankie.
Frankie. They said they get on well together.
They do.
They said we get on really well together, and we're very spoiled, and we love each other. And Frankie says, I'm in charge, he says, but we get on and we have a good time together and we love each other. And where's the big window they like to look out of? And where's the floor they slip on in the house where they slip a bit?
That would be the living room.
Yeah, they said, oh, God, we slip all over it. Can you put a few more rugs down, Mum, please, they're saying.
Oh, they would probably love that. Yes,
they'd love that. They said, "Could you put some more rugs down?" And when when did you give them a different bowl to eat from?
Excuse me?
A different dish to eat from.
Oh God, I just did that.
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. I did it like an hour ago.
Yeah, they love it. Thank you very much. They said, "Are we going to have this one all the time?"
Oh yeah.
Okay, thanks, they go. Thank you very much. And they said you'll always change their water. Their drinking water, you change it all the time, they said. And one of them said that, I don't know whether it's Thunder or Frankie, but the other one eats quite fast.
That would be Thunder.
One of them eats quite fast, they're telling me. One of them says he eats quite fast. And they don't always know if they're he's or she's, you know. They don't always know. They're he's or she's, but they're really happy, your dogs. And where are you thinking of going in the future?
We were actually thinking about moving farther north up into Maine. We're in New York now.
Yes. So let me tell them that's what you're thinking about, but you haven't made up your mind yet. And when you do find somewhere, if you do, you'll tell them. And then they'll know that you're going to move. Okay, awesome. They said fine, but they know that you've been thinking about it.
That's crazy.
And they said, will we have a nice yard if we move?
Always.
Yeah, they said we've got a bit of a yard now, they said.
Oh, yeah, it's very large.
Yeah, they said we've got a bit of a yard now, they said. Will it be as big as this one?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'll tell them, yes, it will be. Because they said you always consider them first.
Always.
Yeah, and who's the other lady that visits sometimes?
That would be my daughter-in-law.
Yeah, they like her. They said she talks a lot.
Yes, she does.
They said she talks all the time and she's real nice, they said, and you two get on quite well together. But she annoys you sometimes. So let me tell them, well, it's easy to live with animals, but it's not so easy to get on with people all the time. And she's got very pretty hair, they said. And when did you change your hair?
Actually, a little while ago.
They said it looks lovely, Mum. And they said they sit and stare at you.
Well, Patti, I hope this has been really helpful. We're unfortunately running out of time, but Sonja does give private readings. So, Sonja, you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
SonjaFitzpatrick.com.
Okay.
You can go to my web site.
Okay, great. And I hope that was helpful for you, Patti. Lots of confirmations there, right?
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You take care.
You take care.
Okay. All right, Sonja, we really appreciate. I can't believe how fast this hour has gone by. It's already
darling, you were wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you know, I was telling them earlier that they can go to your website, and it's up on the screen because this is a webcast for those who are listening via podcast. They can go to your website, and it's SonjaFitzpatrick.com. That's SonjaFitzpatrick.com, spelling it out for the listeners here. And on the website, there is plenty of information about Sonja. There's books and videos, workshops, seminars, all kinds of news. It's a very comprehensive website with just so much information. So, Sonja, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing.
darling.
You were able to really bring comfort to a lot of listeners tonight. And I can see from the chat room that they were very, very moved by the show.
Good.
And folks, you can listen to this show on Spreaker. You can listen to it on iTunes. You can listen to it on ubnradio.com. For all the replays, the video is also going to be on James' Facebook. We want to thank James Van Praagh for this opportunity to present Sonja.
Thank you too. Wonderful, James.
James is in Texas right now presenting, and not too far from Sonja, so maybe a couple hours. Be great to have a little reunion there. But thank you again, Sonja. We really appreciate you. You take care. Listeners, be sure to check us out next Monday. Again, next Monday, Channel 3 on ubnradio.com. Next Monday from 7 to 8:30. We are extending the show from 7 to 8:30 Monday. Take care, everybody.